Good afternoon. I'm Vivian Xu, Deputy Director on the Vaccine Development Team at the Gates Foundation, and it's my privilege to be moderating this morning's panel, or this afternoon's panel. We've all just heard from Dr. Saul and Dr. Castillo about some exciting innovations in the vaccine ecosystem and their collaboration to fully realize the potential of these new platforms. As they both noted, new technology platforms like mRNA can play a transformative role in addressing barriers to expanding access to life-saving tools. To sustain this innovation, developers must overcome technical hurdles to scaling implementation, identify avenues to commercial sustainability, and continue to strengthen local research and development capabilities to maximize impact. Joining me on stage are 4 more vaccine R&D leaders who are on the forefront of those efforts. They each play a role in making the vaccines that have saved and will save millions of lives. And today we get a chance to learn from their experiences. So, first, Secretary Carlos Gadelha, Secretary of Science, Technology, Innovation, and Health Complex at the Ministry of Health of Brazil. Next, Dr. Neni Naraini, Head of Division, Translational Development of Life Science Products at PT Bio Farma in Indonesia. Next, Dr. Petro Trablanche, Chief Executive Officer, Afrigen Biologics in South Africa. And finally, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed, Head of Science and Innovation at BioVac in South Africa. Thank you for joining me. Secretary Gadelha, Brazil has been a long-standing leader in vaccine and pharmaceutical production in the Americas. What were key elements in developing expertise and building up the country's manufacturing?
First of all, I'd like to say that it's a pleasure to be here and to celebrate 20 years of Grand Challenge. Brazil has participated of this initiative since 2011. And how can I say, this room show us the power of diversity, the power of innovation, the power of many people from different regions, different origins, so on. And what you see in the pandemic was a striking example of innovation. It's incredible. The vaccine was developed in less than 1 year, and the minimum was 4 years to develop a vaccine. It's really incredible, but, okay, the quality was not achieved. In the middle, in the peak of the pandemic, many countries has 4 more doses than the population, and other countries didn't apply only 1 dose. The innovation doesn't transform itself in equity, in access. You must learn that for the next 20 years of Grand Challenge perspective. And Brazilian experience was very important, I think, to exchange ideas with you and with the audience. And that, how can I say, we show that local production, local innovation is very important. Science, innovation, technology was very, very important. But the local production in partnership between the state and the market permit us to save more than 200,000 lives. Then I think that we must put together a society, to think about a society that not divide people and the countries between who knows how to produce, who knows how to innovate, and who doesn't know. This is our biggest challenge for the future.
Thank you. And sort of on that topic of local production and scaling of that production, Biopharma, Dr. Naraini, in recent years developed and produced over 700 million doses of novel oral polio vaccine for the world. What lessons have you learned from scaling up that manufacturing, and how are you going to apply it to some new technology platforms like the mRNA platforms that Dr. Saul and Dr. Castillo mentioned earlier?
Thank you for your question, Vivian. So, Biopharma journeys to develop these novel oral polio vaccines offer several valuable lesson learned. So, the first is the global collaboration So to scaling up this vaccine, we need collaborators from stakeholders such as scientists, researchers, and also the foundations. So thank you for the Bill Melinda Gates Foundation that have been providing us to develop and expansion this manufacturing capacity of novel oral polio vaccine. So this is the importance of private-public partnership in addressing the global health challenge. And the second is about capacity building. So Biopharma has experience on the production of the Sabin oral polio vaccines to 800 million doses. So this has become the foundation for scaling up the novel oral polio vaccines. And the third, also, of course, the regulatory support from WHO. So this vaccine is authorization by the emergency use listing. So this is the first emergency use listing vaccine in the world, and this initiative tools is used for the authorization of the COVID-19 vaccine pandemic. So all these factors is a lesson learned from from the novel oral polio vaccine development, and we will continue this for the mRNA vaccines.
Thank you. And Dr. Treblanche, talking about global collaboration, you lead Afrigen, which is the anchor of the mRNA Tech Transfer Hub. What about the mRNA technology excites you the most, and how are you sharing that with all the different developing country vaccine manufacturers with which you partner?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and to talk about mRNA. So next for mRNA is innovation, innovation, and innovation. But let me take you on memory lane. In 1961, messenger RNA was discovered. It took 60 years, 6 decades of research, of failed experiments, of brilliant brains, to be able only in the last 3 years demonstrate the safety and efficacy of an mRNA product. More than 6 billion doses administered during the COVID pandemic, demonstrating that. What does mRNA bring? It brings the ability for small, versatile, multi-product facilities. It brings cost efficiency. It brings access. Today, there are more than 240 entities globally on every continent of the world working on product and process innovation for mRNA. 80% of these entities are less than 3 years old. This is an exploding landscape. There are, at the moment, more than 40 vaccine targets in development for mRNA, and many of those are neglected diseases. But that's only 19% of the product pipeline for mRNA. 80% is around therapeutics for cancer and metabolic disorders. And that is in the public health space. There's a pipeline of veterinary vaccines being developed in mRNA in a growing field. And for the last 10 years, we've already seen the value of mRNA crop protection and food security. So this is a technology that has the potential to impact at all spheres of life. But there's some challenges. I think Jose and Amadou earlier mentioned the challenges of access, the challenges of affordability, the challenges of thermostability. How do we formulate for more thermostability? How do we migrate in a complex IP landscape where we need freedom to operate for access? And how do we ensure that we build a sustainable product pipeline and focusing on getting access for low and middle income countries also to this technology? So mRNA has a promise for a positive impact on public health, but it's going to require partnerships, unconventional partnerships to make that happen.
Thank you so much for taking us down memory lane and reminding us that at times patience in a technology is really important to see its promise. Dr. Mohammed, as you think to, as the BioVac is the first recipient of the tech transfer technology from the Afrigen Technology Hub, as you think through what is the potential and what are the challenges that lie ahead for your team, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, I think thanks so much, first of all, for the kind introduction. And I think thanks so much to the audience as well for staying behind. I think we're keeping you away from lunch at the moment, so we do appreciate those of you that stayed behind. So I think, first of all, and it goes without saying, we are super excited and thrilled to be partnering with not only my colleague next to me, which is Pietro, with respect to the mRNA Hub, but also now the collaboration, which you just heard was announced together with Quantum Biosciences in terms of bringing this capability into Africa. So I think there's a lot to be excited about over the next few years. But just quickly in terms of how mRNA has the potential to revolutionize, I think, lower middle income settings. I think, first of all, it goes without saying that over the last 3 to 5 years, we certainly saw the potential of mRNA vaccines to make massive public health impact. That's part of the reason why the mRNA Hub was established, and Pietro and the team is doing phenomenal work in trying to make this accessible to absolutely everybody around the world. But I think it shouldn't be noticed or left unnoticed that, you know, targets, antigens that everybody's looking for is not just vaccines, as Pietro has pointed out, but it also includes therapeutics into the future. So this technology platform absolutely has the ability to be disruptive and innovative. But I think, you know, for it to truly have impact within the global arena, we really have to see diseases and target antigens being manufactured with this particular technology platform, which affects the poorest of the poor, where it's the most needed. So I think key to this, in terms of revolutionizing the space, is really that the potential of the technology platform to work on a whole lot of different antigens. We heard this morning Mr. Gates mentioning the big three, HIV, TB, and malaria. But let's not leave out other products, as Pietro has mentioned, like oncology, RSV. These are massive targets that Africa and the rest of the developing world definitely needs to focus on. And then I think also, very importantly, I think this is one of the only technology platforms that we're bringing into Africa that allows African manufacturers to also establish critical end-to-end vaccine manufacturing. So it brings the opportunity for us to do drug substance manufacturing, which is critical in order to break this cycle of dependence within Africa or within lower middle income settings. It requires small footprints, low infrastructure requirements, so all the things that you kind of need to be able to set up sustainable vaccine manufacturing in lower middle income settings. And then a final point, just very, very quickly, I think for this to be truly successful, the technology platform, whether it be the mRNA Hub sort of initiative or the Quantum Biosciences technology, we really have to find a focused way in terms of linking this particular technology as well to absolutely make use of its full potential, together with key continental strategies that's running on the continent at the moment. I think the president of Senegal mentioned the PAVM strategy, which is led by the African CDC, but we also know about the Gavi recent initiative as well, the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator Program, that has already identified mRNA as a potential technology platform, and also has also started to identify certain targets that we need to focus on. So I think it's exciting times. There's a lot of barriers to making this happen. Pietro mentioned some of them, but it's really an exciting technology platform, and as BioVac, we're excited not only for the region, but also for the continent in terms of what it can achieve. Thank you.
No, I think it's the excitement is definitely warranted, but of course, as Petra mentioned, there are challenges and risks along the way. Dr. Naraini, can you speak to some of the challenges that you see to strengthening domestic and regional manufacturing, but also what makes you hopeful?
Yes, COVID-19 is teach us the importance of the establishment of the regional manufacturing capacity to have the equitable access on the vaccines. But we face also the risk and challenge. The challenge is the access to the technology, the emerging technologies such as mRNA and also viral vector, and how we can have the freedom to operate. And the second challenge is the sustainable investment to keep the capacity run post-pandemic era. And the third challenge is ecosystem innovations. So how to build the academy, business, government collaboration to bring the research from the university and translate to the commercial and give a high impact to the public health. And fourth is also the regulatory changes. So we know that certain current CGMP that we have to achieve, and it is need adjustment and also sometimes investment. And then but we know that there is a hope for that. The reason is that we have the global collaboration. The initiative with WHO MPP for the mRNA technology program is one of the very big milestones. So 15 countries in low middle income countries can access to the mRNA technology. And the second is about the involvement of the funders, such as Bill Melinda Gates Foundation and CEPI, to give the sustained investment in capacity building of low middle income countries. We know that recently CEPI announced the collaboration, partnering in Global South, including Africa and also Indonesia, for capacity building in pandemic response. And the third, there is continuous innovations for the better vaccines, for low-cost vaccines, such as we heard today, the quantum technology, and with the funding from Bill Melinda Gates Foundation and CEPI, the low-middle-income countries can access this technology. And of course, the regulatory harmonizations between regional, such as ASEAN or DCPMM, is very help us to strengthening the regional manufacturing capacity.
Thank you very much. Secretary Gadelha, having experienced both as a senior leader in a Brazilian vaccine and manufacturer, Fiocruz, and now as Vice Minister of Health, what do you see as the role of government to address some of the challenges that Dr. Naraini has highlighted?
Now I am experiencing a very exciting moment in Brazil. Science returned, science is back, okay, first of all, and the spirit of solidarity is back also. It's very important. We organized the next G20 meeting, and for this meeting, we will propose that the health occupy the first place in the development policy. Health is not a complementary area. It is in the core of the development strategy. You must break the walls between economy, society, and environment. This is our perspective. Then we will discuss preparedness and how to have a more equitable production of science, technology, and innovation. We say innovation together, science together, production together. Not what we are seeing nowadays in AI technology. It's unacceptable that only few countries and few companies develop AI and other one only apply and use that. We will launch our grand challenge call to AI on Tuesday. And this perspective of collaboration, a more horizontal way of behavior, it will be in the in the core of our perspective. In G20, I'd like to invite Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Grand Challenge perspective, to discuss this new pattern that the equity is not only related to with access, but also related to equity in knowledge and innovation. Thank you.
Thank you, and I do know the conversation around AI and equity for AI is one that we will engage in over the next several days as well. But on that topic and of new technologies, my question to the three of you is, what is the next innovation in vaccine development you're most excited about? What should we all be looking to see on the horizon? Anyone first take?
Let me make a generic statement. I think the most substantial innovation is going to come through the convergence of different technologies. I think it's going to happen in both delivery technologies and manufacturing technologies. I think AI is going to play an important role in innovation vaccine technology. And in fact, in the case of Afrigen, we recently started a collaboration with an AI company who designed gonorrhea antigens through big data mining and moving this through as a vaccine candidate. So I think there's a great role. It's going to be in multidisciplinary, multi-areas of convergence where most of the breakthroughs is going to come in the next 10 years.
Same question, Vivian?
Same question to you.
Okay, well, excellent. So I tend to agree with Pietro almost 100% completely. You know, I think where a lot of effort and time needs to go is really in terms of antigen design. I think quite a lot of work still needs to go into this, especially looking at more difficult target vaccines such as HIV, malaria, as well as TB, for example. And I think AI is definitely a vehicle that will be used into the future. And so I think it's definitely part of what needs to develop next in order to see big advances within the vaccine and the therapeutic field. So I think for me, AI is probably one of the key ones as well.
From an industry perspective, what do you think, just continuing Dr. Mohammed, what do you think are some of the other more important enablers of building successful, sustainable industry capacity?
I think that's the key question, Vivian. I think that is absolutely the big question. So I think it goes without saying that to the audience in the room, Africa produces less than 1% of its own vaccine needs. And I think everybody here knows it, but it's been very, very difficult to break the sustainability trend in Africa. And so the key question is really, what do we have to do in order to make vaccine manufacturing more sustainable within the continent? And that's really been the key question, Vivian, right, in terms of how to move the needle, in terms of going from a 1% capacity to, let's say, 10%, 30%, or 60% capacity. And for me, there's a few key points that we will probably have to address. I think number one is we need to talk about the issue, which is access to market. You can make all the vaccines that you want to in the world, but for vaccine manufacturers to be sustainable, you really need to have access to the markets, because once your vaccines are there, you need to be able to sell it. I think the second thing is that you really need to look at diversification of technology platforms. mRNA is an amazing technology platform. It brings a lot of opportunity. But for example, it's not the only technology platform available. We at BioVac, we work quite strongly on bacterial antigen production as well, and we're in a collaboration with the Gates Foundation to develop a cholera vaccine. And really the idea behind this is so that you can generate anchor products around which you can build a sustainable ecosystem. And I think, just in closing, I think in a room like this, you have to mention it will only happen through partnerships and collaborations. Sustainability means that you need to do handshaking, so we're talking about product development partnerships as well as commercial technology transfer partnerships. So these are key initiatives, I think, which will build sustainability for us into the future.
On that note, talking about the science, technology, and collaboration, that is the theme of this meeting. I'll just want to thank you all so much for joining us on this panel. You've given us all lots to think about for the next couple of days as we engage in the various different sessions and tracks and explore the myriad of innovations that are helping to transform lives, both here in Africa and around the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you.